And welcome to another reading lesson. Today is Fiction Friday because we are starting our fiction text. We are stopping with non-fiction for now and we're hopefully going to pick it up next term, but we've got a new novel and it's Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. This novel, I'm going to read the synopsis here for you. It's about a young girl called Morrigan Crow and she's a cursed child. Everything that goes wrong in Jaffelfax can be traced back to her. She is feared by the townsfolk, which is the people that live in the local area, and despised by her family, which means hated by her family. And destiny dictates she will die on her 11th birthday. So we need to continue reading and find out if she actually does. Now, before we start reading our novel, we're going to look at some of the key vocabulary that's been presented to us. I'm going to have my turn and then you're going to follow after me. Raucous. And that means to make a loud or unpleasant noise that's not controlled. Raucous. We then have revelry, and this is used to describe lively or noisy festivity. So you can almost describe the noise, the revelries at a festival being quite lively and noisy. Revelry. We then have tragic, and this means it's either causing or characterized by extreme distress or sorrow, often involving death or suffering. So you could say there was a tragic accident as two cars collided. So that could involve either death or suffering that's happened to the passengers. Conservative. And this is not the political party that we're talking about here. Here we are talking about people not liking or trusting change, especially when change is sudden. So you could describe maybe new neighbours being quite conservative because they're not used to the local area or the people or their next door neighbours. Conservative. We then have serenity. And this is the state of being calm, peaceful, untroubled. So people might go away on holiday to look at all the scenes and the serenity of feeling quite peaceful and calm, untroubled, all those adjectives to describe a lovely scene. Emboldened, and this means someone that is instilled with boldness or courage. So as you can see here, I've got this image of someone almost jumping off a building. So you could say they're emboldened as they're jumping off this high story building. Emboldened. We then have contempt, and this is the feeling that a person or thing is worthless or beneath consideration, almost as also showing a scorn within somebody's face. So you could describe someone's face as showing the feeling of contentment, and this is the way it's shown in the picture. So I'd like you to have a try and show contentment within your face. That's Miss Ahad having a go. I'd like you now to have a go. We then have dumbfounded, and this means to be greatly astonished or amazed, i.e. shocked that I cannot speak. So I could see Miss Ahad was dumbfounded with the PE work Kent had sent in on Seesaw. I was amazed at how great all of you were doing with the choreography, and I'm sure both other classes were also doing great. Then have silhouetted. And this is a cast or show someone or something as a dark shape, an outline against a brighter background. So here you can see a silhouette of this woman here. I can see her silhouette, which is an outline of her face, half of her body as well. So artists can actually draw a silhouette as well, which is a nice way to present a piece of painting. Now we're going to repeat the words back with me and then go on to some reading. Raucous, revelry, tragic, conservative, serenity, emboldened. Now I can't hear you loud enough. I'd like you to make sure you're repeating after me. Content, dumbfounded, silhouetted. Now, we're going to go on and read our text together. This is going to be a paired reading task, so you must make sure you pause the video and read along the text with Miss Ahad when she asks you to pause. So please make sure you are doing that. I'd like you to pause the video quickly if you need to get your text. That could be on a PDF in front of you or printed out, or if you want to follow along with the video, that's also fine as well. Just make sure you're watching on full screen so you can see the text.
Death comes to dinner. On Eventide night, even the streets of dull, conservative Jaffelfax came alive.
The cobbled stretch of Empire Road had swelled from a merry hum of good spirits in the morning to raucous, uncontainable revelry in the final hours before midnight. Here suggesting it's gone from quite a dull morning now to almost like a party atmosphere. Raucous and revelry suggests that loud, unpleasant, lively festivities were going on just before the final hours before midnight. Street bands played for coins on every corner, competing for the attention of passers-by. Coloured lanterns jostled with streamers and strings of tiny lights, and the air smelled of beer, burnt sugar, and meat grilling on the spit. The blackened sky-faced clock loomed above the celebrations. At midnight, it would fade to the colour of morning tide, a pale, promising pink, and spring of one would bring a fresh beginning for everyone. The night was uncommon and crowded with possibility, suggesting here that there was lots of options. For everyone, that is, except Morrigan Crow. Morrigan's night held only one possibility. Like every other child born precisely 11 years ago on the last 11 tide, when the clock struck midnight, she would die, the 11 short years of her doomed life complete, her curse finally fulfilled. The Crows were celebrating. Sort of. It was a sombre affair in the house on the hill. A sombre affair suggests that it was a dull atmosphere within the house. Lights dimmed, curtains drawn. Dinner was Morrigan's favourite: lamb chops, roast parsnips, and minted peas. Corvus hated parsnips and would never usually allow them to be served when he was home for dinner, but he kept a grim silence as the maid spooned a huge mountain of them onto his plate. Morrigan felt this spoke volumes about the sensitivity of the occasion. I wonder why this has been used to describe the sensitivity of the occasion. Think of what's happening. What's going to happen to Morrigan's life? The room was quiet, but for the soft scratching of silverware against china. Morrigan was conscious of every mouthful of food she swallowed, every cool sip of water. She heard each tick of the clock on the wall like a drum beat in a marching band, marching her ever closer to the moment when she would cease to exist, suggesting when she would die. She hoped it would be painless. She'd read somewhere that when a cursed child died, it was usually quick and peaceful, just like falling asleep. She wondered what would happen afterwards. Would she really go to the better place, like Cook had told her once? A better place like Cook had once told her? Was the divine thing real? And would it accept her with open arms, as she'd been promised? Morrigan had to hope so. The alternatives simply didn't bear thinking about. After hearing Cook's tales of the wicked thing that dwelled in the worst place, she'd slept with the lights on for a week. It was a strange thing, she thought, to be celebrating the night of your own death. It didn't feel like a birthday. It didn't feel like a celebration at all. It was more like having your funeral before you die. Just as she was wondering if anyone would say a few words about her, Corvus cleared his throat. Morrigan, Ivy, and Grandma looked at him, their hands pausing halfway to their mouths, with forks full of lamb and peas. I just wanted to say, he began and then seemed to lose momentum. I just wanted to say... Ivy's eyes misted over and she squeezed her hand encouragingly. Go on, dear. He tried again and cleared his throat loudly. I just want to say that the lamb is very good. Cooked to perfection. Nice and pink. There were murmurs of agreement around the table, and then a clinking of cutlery as everyone carried on eating. That was probably as good as it was going to get, Morrigan realised, and she couldn't say she disagreed about the lamb. Well, if nobody minds, said Ivy, dabbing her mouth prettily with her linen napkin. I've not been a member of this family for very long, but I thought it might be appropriate for me to say something tonight. Now, I would like you to read from Morrigan sat up straight, right to the end of the page of page 4. So you're going to now take the ownership of the reading. Morrigan sat up straight and right till the end where the star just finishes off there. You are going to continue reading. Remember, if there is dialogue, you're going to change the intonation of your voice to act as the character. Think about your fluency whilst you read. So pause the video and have a go at reading that now. Well done, Year 6. You sounded fantastic. Well done. Felt silent. Then a great smash came from the doorway as the maid dropped a platter. Corvus tried to smile at his wife, but it came out as a grimace, here suggesting it came out as disapproving of what she just said, or almost angry as well. Well, Ivy prompted them. Aren't you going to congratulate us? Ivy, dear, grandmother said, smiling icily at her daughter-in-law. Perhaps your announcement might have been better received at a less sensitive time. For instance, the day after my only grandchild is due to leave us tragically at the age of 11. Strangely, her words made Morrigan perk up a little. It was perhaps the most sentimental thing she'd ever heard grandmother say. She felt an unexpected warmth towards the savage old bird of prey. The language here, the adjectives used to describe her grandmother, so these are the feelings what Ivy probably felt towards her grandmother, savage old bird of prey. But this is a good thing, don't you see? Ivy said, looking to Corvus for support. He squeezed the bridge of his nose as if warding off a migraine. It's like the circle of life. One life may be snuffed out, but another is being brought into the world. Why? It's practically a miracle. Grandmother groaned faintly. Ivy was relentless. You'll have a new grandchild, Ornella. Corvus will be a new daughter. Corvus will have a new daughter, or a son. Wouldn't that be lovely? A little boy. Corvy, you said you'd always wanted a boy. We can dress him in little black suits to match his daddy. Morrigan tried not to laugh at the grim expression on her father's face. Yes, delightful, he said unconvincingly, but perhaps we'll celebrate later. But Morrigan doesn't mind, do you, Morrigan? Mind what? Morrigan asked. That I'm going to be bolted out of existence in a few hours and you're planning a wardrobe for my replacement. Not in the slightest. She shoved a forkful of parsnip into her mouth. Definitely here, I know that Morrigan was being very sarcastic. Now, I would like you to continue with the reading, so you're going to take the ownership of the reading. So you're going to read from, oh, for goodness sake, right to the end of the page. You need to make sure you think about the intonation within your voice, as there is a lot of dialogue between the characters, so we need to sound different when we speak from grandma compared to when we speak as grandma compared to Corvus. So please make sure you do that. So pause the video and read from where the stars are. Well done, Year 6. You all sounded fantastic. I love the expression on your voice. So let's go on to our questions now. Activity is filling in your words and definitions, just like you do in class. However, because you are writing out the definitions, I'd like you to write down the word and the definition, because it will help you throughout the week when you are doing your vocabulary activities. Okay, so I'm going to share my visualizer with you so you can see the first one. So the word we have is silhouetted, and the definition is what I need to write in. So I'm going to share my screen with you all, my date and my subject that I'm doing, which is reading, and I've underlined them both. My first word is silhouetted, so remember you need to write down the word and the definition. So I know that silhouetted is a cast, or it almost shows a dark shape and outline against a brighter background. So I'm going to write down to show as a dark shape or outline against a brighter background. So that is what silhouetted means. Your next word is, you have a definition, which is making loud or unpleasant noise. So remember, you need to write down the word. So I'm just going to write it in a star here. So you need to write the word and then the definition. This will help you when you are doing your second activity. So you must have written the word and then the definition. So pause the video and have a go at that activity. I'm just going to show you the words again. Pause the video here and have a go at the activity. Please remember, you need to write down the word and the definition. Okay, so I've written out the first one with you, and you now need to complete the rest. So come back to the video once you're ready to look at the answers. Don't worry if you've got a definition wrong, you can go back to the video and have a look at some definitions if you're a little bit confused or have forgotten. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm now going to share the answers with you all. Please make sure you have completed the definitions and come back to the video showing yourself at integrity. So the word that was missing for number 2 was raucous, and that is to make loud or unpleasant noise. So you have to have written down the word raucous and then the definition which was given to you, which is making a loud or unpleasant noise, which is not usually controlled. We then have had emboldened, and I did give you the definition here, and that's instilled with boldness or courage. So you can describe someone as jumping off a cliff as being emboldened. We then have the word that you were missing was dumbfounded, and this is to be greatly astonished or amazed, shocked that you cannot speak. So probably you'd feel you'd be astonished or amazed, dumbfounded if you saw someone actually jump off a cliff. So the next word was tragic, and then the definition for that was extreme distress or sorrow. It often involves death or suffering. We then have contempt, and then that's the feeling that a person or a thing is worthless or beneath consideration. It's almost a facial scorn as well. We then have revelry, and that is to make lively and noisy festivities. So we can see in the chapter of the text, before midnight, 4 hours before midnight, there was a lot of revelry and lively and noisy festivities going on in JAFL-FACS. We then have conservative, and this is not the political party. This is not usually liking or trusting change, especially when change is sudden. So you could say your new class member was conservative when they first started because they didn't really know anyone or trust anyone just yet because they just moved to the school. And then lastly, we have serenity, and that is the state of being calm, peaceful and untroubled. So well done if you got those correct. If you haven't, please go in and write down the correct definition. This will help you with your second activity, which I'm going to share with you now. So your second reading activity is to fill in the blanks. As you can see, we have sentences here, but you need to fill in the blank. So you need to insert a word from our word bank here, and it's really important that you read through the sentence first and understand the context of the sentence and then go in to pick a word. So what I'm going to do is share my screen and show you one example under the visualizer. So the first word here, I'm going to write down number 1. And you can just write down the word. Please do not worry about writing the whole sentence. But if you really want to understand the word in context, I would recommend writing down the sentence. But if you need to complete this before your other subjects, that's absolutely fine. So the sentence is, he felt intimidated by bunches of youths belting out a variety of different football chants. Well, I know from the word bank that I have raucous, I have contempt, I have sentimental, revelries, conservative, serenity, tragic, and emboldened. Well, this sentence is talking about a bunch of raucous youths because they're being quite loud, making a lot of unpleasant noise for people. So the word that I would copy in there is raucous. So remember, you just need to write down the words if you want to. So you can either write down the word or the sentence. I would preferably say writing down the word would be quicker, so it's up to you. Okay, so now it's your turn to have a go at the rest of the sentences. You need to come back to the video once you have finished so you can hear my answers. Okay, so you're now doing number 2 to 7. So please have a read of the sentences first before inserting your words. Okay, so if you've finished, that's fantastic. We're now going to mark, so please pick up a different colour pen if you have one. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so we have John's prejudice causes him to feel for people who do not speak English. So out of the words, we have emboldened, serenity, tragic, conservative, revelries, contempt, and sentimental. Well, the reason I'm going to go with this word is because it fits in perfectly with this sentence. It's talking about that someone is quite useless, worthless, purpose, beneath consideration. So I'm definitely going to go with contempt here. So John's prejudice causes him to feel contempt for people who do not speak English. Okay, so that's for number 2. Number 3, the next door keep me awake all at night. The next door keep me awake at night. So the word that I'm going to go with here is revelries, because that's suggesting the loud noises, the unpleasant noises from maybe next door neighbours keep this person awake at night. And then we have number 4, despite Dave's quiet appearance, he has a wicked sense of humour. So here, despite David's quiet, conservative appearance, remember conservative is being quite shy, keeping to yourself, despite his conservative appearance, he has a wicked sense of humour. Number 5, for a shy person, it might be difficult to experience in a large crowd. This would definitely be serenity in a large crowd. So for a shy person, it might be difficult to experience serenity in a large crowd. Number 6, they both died in a car accident. Well, I know this would definitely be tragic, so the word that would go in there is tragic. They both died in a tragic car accident. And then number 7, by her earlier success, Lynn's recent work has been even more imaginative. Well, the last word we have, actually we have 2 words left. The last word is emboldened for number 7. So emboldened by her success, so that means she's astonished, she's amazed by her success. Lynn's recent work has been even more imaginative. So there's one final word left, which is sentimental, and we did have sentimental as one of our keywords previously with our chapter in the Explorer. So I'd like you to write a sentence for number 8. So you're going to write out a full sentence for number 8. If I was writing a sentence, I would say my ring that I wear has sentimental value to me as it was gifted to me by my father, for example. So that would be a sentence that I've used with the word sentimental in there. So I'd like you to have a go at writing a sentence with the word sentimental. You must make sure you are completing this, and then I would like you to read page 5 from our text. So I'm just going to put that under the visualizer for you all to see. I'm just going to share my visualizer with you. So you need to all read from "The room felt silent" right till the end of Daddy. If you want to read from the video, I will just put the text here now for you to pause and read through to upload onto Cecil. Hopefully you can see that all. If you want to read it from the PDF file, that's also fine, you can do that. So you can pause the video, read from here, record yourself and upload it onto Cecil. I've seen so many great readings from Kent class, Isla, Ariana. I've seen a few in Sheffield and Oxford as well, but please make sure you are continuing to send in the text I've set you to read, because it's so important to read aloud, having that fluency within your voice, the confidence to read out loud. It's really important. Please show that expression, the intonation when you're speaking as a different character, if there's dialogue. So please make sure you do that. And I'll see you on Monday for our next reading lesson.